A hand reaches out, and a voice asks, "Why did you ever become my girlfriend?" After all, he was broke. No education, no talent, a worthless piece of donkey crap. And yet just being with him made her smile. If only manga fantasies were real, maybe I wouldn't still be single. Our story begins with Shinba, a man who can't even wake up on time. He arrives at his long-awaited date 1 full hour late. His alarm didn't go off, or maybe he just slept through it. For a failure like him, even showing up felt like an apology. Hizumi, his girlfriend, stood waiting. But instead of scolding, she leaned close and whispered into his ear, "Since you're jobless and useless anyway, it doesn't really matter if you're late." Shinba nearly collapsed on the spot, apologizing frantically, out of breath, terrified she'd leave. But instead, Hizumi just grabbed his arm and said they were going. Whether she forgave him or not, he couldn't tell. What he didn't know was that secretly, she was already falling for this clumsy donkey of a man. Their date started at the cinema, Shinba's idea. He promised to explain the plot to her during the movie, only to fall asleep halfway through, still munching on popcorn in his dreams. Hizumi quietly moved the bucket aside and, instead of getting angry, just looked at him with soft, affectionate eyes. Afterward, at a restaurant, Shinba apologized again and again and again. Hizumi's expression seemed to say, "Why am I even dating this guy?" But in truth, she was satisfied. When he asked what she meant, she only smiled mysteriously. That's a secret. Over dinner, Shinba talked endlessly about the movie he slept through, earning the crown of King of Yapping. But Hizumi soon took the throne, nitpicking everything he said, overwhelming him with questions. When he finally teared up, thinking he'd ruined the entire date, Hizumi softened. She apologized for being harsh, admitting she actually liked the way he rambled on about things he loved. Even when he forgot his wallet at the end of the meal, Hizumi paid without complaint. As they left, she remarked, almost teasingly, that dinner was the most delicious she'd had in a while. At the bus stop, Shinba bowed his head, expecting a breakup. Instead, Hizumi laughed at his pitiful face. "I had fun today," she told him. Then, with an aura that made his heart stop, she confessed, "I like you." The bus roared past, drowning his reply. She waved, promising to see him again. Shinba stood, wiping his tears, wondering why a girl like her liked a useless donkey like him. What he didn't know was that on her own bus ride home, Hizumi stared at a photo of him, smiling to herself. "Useless," she whispered, as if the word itself made her happy. Not long after, bad luck struck. Shinba caught a cold right before their trip. Hizumi came to his messy apartment to take care of him, finding enough dust and clutter to fuel her insults for a lifetime. But she cooked for him anyway, teased him with his old yearbook, and promised to educate him until he fell asleep. As he lay feverish, he dreamed of being mocked, scolded, and called useless again and again. But when he awoke, in panic, Hizumi was there. She placed a towel on his forehead and whispered casually, "Don't worry, even if you're useless, I'll stay." For Shinba, it felt like love. For Hizumi, it was something stranger. She was happiest when this useless donkey leaned on her. Another day, Shinba invited her to the game center, determined to show off his cool side. He nailed a perfect combo on a rhythm game, glowing with pride until Hizumi asked coldly if he brought her just to watch. Panicked, he scrambled for two-player games. In zombie shooters, she carried him with 30 kills. In fighting games, she knocked him out before he touched a button. At the punching machine, she doubled his score with ease. No matter what, Shinba was the loser. But Hizumi? She only grew fonder, watching his clumsy determination. Later, he tried to impress her by pulling a cheap 200 yen ring from a capsule machine. She looked disgusted at first, but later, in secret, she slipped it onto her finger at home. not because it was beautiful, but because it was his. And so continues the strange romance of Shinba and Hizumi, the useless donkey, and the girl who finds happiness in his flaws.